Tuning in to the online broadcast network, Afterbuzz TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. Afterbuzz TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Okay, yeah, cool. So hello, Mr. Ricky Whittle. Welcome to AfterBuzz TV.
Thank you very much for having me. Sorry, it's been, a long time coming. We've watched your stuff, and we appreciate all the love you've been giving us. So.
Of course, yeah, we love the show, and it's from season 1 to season 2. All of our favorite characters, they've swirled around, so it's super exciting to get somebody whose character has grown so much since season 1 in studio live here with us.
No, I appreciate it, and it's there's a lot more to come, definitely.
That's exciting. So for the fans who are just tuning in, you guys might detect that there's a slight Brit accent going on right here. Maybe you didn't know existed.
Yes, I am actually from Manchester, England.
Okay.
For some reason, every role I seem to take in America is American. So when people meet me, producers, directors, they're like, "Oh, I love the accent. It's great, fantastic, wonderful. Do American."
Right.
So yeah, I mean, it's nice to establish yourself as American because then people aren't listening for it.
Sure, they're like, "You're too charming. You're too charming."
Well, then it's a shock when they find out that you're British. Whereas if they know you're British at first, then they're listening for the accent to fail and to fall. So it's a nice surprise when it's kind of like your little. Ta-da!
Right.
Afterwards, same with Bob Morley, Eliza Taylor. We're all
there's a lot of foreigners on the show, right?
We're all packed in. Definitely. There's some Aussies, Brits, and even Ian Henry Cusick. Plays Kane.
You guys all have.
We're all hiding.
You all hide the great accents.
We're
though.
all
You did
hiding.
such a good job.
Thank you.
Everybody knows Henry and Cusick from Lost. It's Desmond.
Desmond.
Okay, come here, brother. Like everybody knows the line. Right? So,
can I give you some first up the first little backstage gossip?
Yeah, do it.
He is by far.
A little closer to the mic.
He is by far the funniest guy on set.
Henry is.
I cannot work with that guy.
Really?
He is hilarious. He's a joker, a prankster. He's always messing around, and he's always fun to be on set. And I even remember my first scene with him. I think was in the hospital bed.
Sure.
And I mean, he's got great presence, great screen presence.
Absolutely.
And like you say, you know him from Lost and all these other great things. He's an incredible actor and so talented, and so he's got this presence, and it's almost intimidating in a scene. But then he just puts you at ease with just his sense of humor. He's an absolute clown. I love him to bits.
He's a pretty serious guy.
And you would not get that from Kane.
A little bit. It's a little bit.
Definitely.
So you just got back from filming the last part of season 2?
I mean, there's various episodes after this episode that I might be in.
May or may not.
May or may not. Let's keep it ambiguous. But yeah, we just got back. We just wrapped the whole season on Sunday, I believe, right up until the end of the weekend. So
do you like Vancouver?
It's fantastic. I mean,
really?
The Canadians up there, I mean, even from the crew, which is incredible. I mean, the hours they do, they're just constantly smiling, but that's the people up there,
Sure. Sometimes
I think they're on something or just constantly, high or drunk on life, but they're just so happy. They can never do enough for you. They're always smiling. You'll be walking down the street and just random strangers, ask you how you're doing and if you need anything. Do you know where you're going? Are you looking for something?
Wow.
I'm just like,
this doesn't sound like LA at all.
I don't know you. Why are you? What do you want? And they're like, no, just make sure you're having a good time. It's like,
sure.
Oh, okay, thank you. They're incredible.
How does it compare to the UK?
Wow. Well, the weather's the same. Vancouver's just very wet. I think it rains probably about 300 days of the year, which makes the show look fantastic. It has that kind of epic, visual effect that the weather has, where you see our breath and you see us kind of in the elements.
Right, it's cold.
But I don't know. It's the UK is very, very multicultural. It's I kind of described my friends in California. You can kind of stereotype nations.
Sure.
You look up in the dictionary and there's you can
stigmas and all that.
Your stigmas or from you know, your quarterback American, you know, yourself, you know, your typical, you know, good looking quarterback, you know,
You're talking about me?
Yeah, of course.
Thank you.
Your typical American kind of look, you know, you've got your Brazilians, your French and everything. In England, in the UK, it is so multicultural and so diverse that you couldn't tell, you know, who was British and who's not. You know, I met with head of a studio once, and he was like, I didn't realize they made British people like you. You know, he's like, you look so, you know, just you're like you say, a melting pot. You know, you could be anything from Brazilian to Latino to Middle Eastern to, you know, you could be absolutely anything.
Do you ever hide the accent in auditions intentionally before they even meet you?
Most of the time.
You do? Okay.
Most of the time, I depending on the accent, I will go in as the character.
It's a good
so
choice.
I kind of go in, I joke with the casting directors, the producers, directors, and you know, just stay in character. Well, not necessarily in character, but stay in the accent.
Sure.
And then we'll nail the scene.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, once I know that everything's, you know, in the can, then I bring out the ta-da and so, oh, by the way, I'm British. And then they're
all
like,
of a sudden, you're
oh,
a dog riding a
second.
pony. You could do both. You're crazy.
Where are you from? And it's like, well, I'm British. And they're like, what? No way.
That's great.
But it's like I said before, you know, then they're not looking for it. They're just watching the performance, which is what I want. Whereas if you come in British, it doesn't matter how good your accent is, they're still going to be thinking, you know, how's his accent? Is it good? How is it?
Right.
You know? And I want them to concentrate on the performance. So if I go in American, that's what they focus on. And, you know.
So you do a pretty good job with the American thing. You got the Dodgers hat.
I know people come up to me and go, oh, you're a Dodgers fan. Yeah. I'm like, I just like the colors. I'm British.
You're a sports guy in general? Do you follow?
Yeah. I love my football, which is
like football or like
real
football?
Real football. And this is the thing that I like to say to Americans. You know,
real football.
We play football because we play with our feet.
Sure,
and it's a
right.
ball. American football is played with an egg and you use your hands. So I call it hand egg.
With an egg?
You play hand egg, we play football. Let's not get it twisted.
I heard a rumor that you actually play running back. You moonlight as a running back? Is that true?
I played American football. Yeah, I play soccer, rugby, and then I drifted into American football. So I actually play for the Manchester Titans.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Wide receiver and then tailback.
You do both.
Yeah.
You're like a Percy Harvin
and I was special teams, so I was kicking punt return. So I was basically just quick.
You're a hard hitter, or are you just a skill position guy?
No. I like the contact. I like sports that, you know, where you can, you know, you can, that are quite physical. I've always been a very physical person, whether it be boxing or you know, rugby and soccer. And then as soon as, you know, we're not as into the American football as you guys, and we can't really get to it until I went to university, and then I found a team there.
Right.
And then literally I was just like, wow, this is a fantastic sport.
It's good.
I mean, it's very start-stop. It's very tough, and especially in the UK where it's very cold.
Right.
So you kind of want to do what the Americans do, where you sit on the sideline with an exercise bike, keeping warm. But if I did that in England, people would be like,
yeah. Okay. So your acting career actually, it started from sports, right? Dream Team was like that was your breakout thing, right?
It was, yeah. It was kind of like a fluke, you know. I was a sportsman. I was playing soccer, and that was kind of gonna be my thing. I dropped into university to study law because I was very injury prone.
Sure.
And so my dad said, look, go to university, get a degree, then you've got something to fall back on if you get injured in your career. While I was at university, I did a bit of modeling to pay for books and stuff.
Sure.
And my modeling agent put me up for the show called Dream Team, which is very similar to your American football show, Friday Night Lights.
Okay, yeah.
So the kids and they're playing American football, but with Dream Team, it was kind of more similar, kind of a mix between Friday Night Lights and Any Given Sunday.
Okay.
So it was like a professional team.
I love both.
And then you saw us playing against the teams like Manchester United and Barcelona and things, and it was all CGI. Sure. It was very clever. And so I went along, and you know, the casting director Val Farron I'll remember her name for the end of my days. You know, she was the one who gave me my first job. And she basically said, look, just relax. I know you've never acted before, but just come in when you're ready.
Do your thing. Play.
And she just put me at ease, and I was like, wow. So I just went along, did my thing, and just kind of blagged it a little bit.
You did it for a few years, right?
I ended up doing that show for 4 years. Yeah.
Fun?
It was it went on a 10-year run. So it went for 10 seasons. And it was great. You know, I was living the dream. I hadn't made it as a professional footballer.
Sure.
Because I kind of dropped out and went to school.
Were you really good when you were young? Could you have gone pro? Was that
yeah, I mean, I was playing played internationals at schoolboy level for both rugby and football,
like
soccer.
you were representing your country?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
At schoolboy
so
level, yeah.
You were
I
like
was
on the way.
I was a whippet. I was quick. I was
Okay.
just, I was like a 10-7 guy for the 100.
Sure.
I was rapid.
What was your 40? Do you remember?
We don't do 40s.
Really?
No.
You guys just do the 100?
Just the 100-meter sprint, 200.
It's kind of ironic the name of the show. Actually, it's funny.
I know. So I specialized in the 100.
Yeah. Look at that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. So you grew up. Your dad was in the Royal Air Force, right?
Yes, he was. I was a forces brat, we call it. So every 3 years, we kind of moved around the world.
So you jumped around a lot.
Air Force bases. Yeah, you'd have to say goodbye to your good friends, and then
Sure.
kind of make new friends.
Played a lot of sports everywhere. So is that you think you got into it that
I
way?
think, well, to be honest, sports are kind of what made friends very
Sure.
quickly. Straight away you kind of had, like in football, soccer, you instantly had 10 brothers, 11-a-side game. You
Right,
basically
yeah.
had 10 brothers who had your back.
Camaraderie, just straight out the door.
You just had your family straight away, and then played rugby, which is 15s, and then you've straight away you've got a group of people who you can hang around with.
Sure.
And it stopped a lot of the bullying when I was a kid.
Yeah, you had a bunch of friends.
Kids don't know any different, and if you are slightly different, then they like to take the mickey out of you, and try and find any flaws that they can, or what they deem flaws.
Sure.
And so sports was a way for me to interact and to excel and to kind of really, build those bridges.
That's common. I think a lot of people that grow up with that connection to it, they're very athletic. It's easy. You excel at it. You're good at something.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So that's great. I hear that from a lot of people.
Yeah, it's either sports or some people use comedy.
Yeah.
You find a lot of comedians,
Jokesters.
when they were younger, kind of to stop bullies, they'd crack jokes and be the funny man. And with myself, it was sports.
I did both. I was short and kind of chubby when I was a kid, and I have 6,000 comic books in Seattle, and then I got to 6'2" at 14, and now I'm like a sports guy. So I did.
Yeah.
I've experienced like getting bullied.
Yeah.
I never bullied anyone, but I guess I could have because I'm tall when I was with this. Anyway, so the 100, the show on CW, you're known, I think, probably best known for the show that you're doing now. That's what we have you in here, obviously.
Yeah.
Season 1, they had you like pretty much chained up shirtless for like most of the season, right? That was.
I mean, I just saved on the costume budget. Basically, they ran out with everyone else's costumes, the budget. So basically, they were like, Ricky, look, we want to hire you, but
we can't afford to clothe you.
we can't really afford you and to clothe you. So if we can just have pants, just wear trousers and that's basically it. But yeah, I mean, season 1 was fun. The makeup department, Tanya, she was my personal makeup artist, the head of makeup, and she would spend hours, literally. She hates it when Lincoln is topless because that means we have 6 to 7 hours of makeup.
Oh, is this all makeup in here?
Literally. I'm not even really black. This is fake tan. I have blue eyes. I've got blonde hair. They change it all.
Fake.
I'm not even really British. No. So you mean I've got no tattoos whatsoever. So literally she has to paint them all on.
Wow.
They have to be exact, obviously, for
Every
continuity.
time.
And then Lincoln's just a roadmap of wars and scars and battles. So from. He's got whips and chains from where Bellamy's he took him out, from where Raven electrocuted him and things,
You got your ass kicked. You got beat up a lot.
Yeah. He's basically a tortured soul. Season 1 was very much physical torture. Season 2 we're seeing an emotional torture.
Do you credit, because they've really brought you into the fold season 2? Like you have a real arc, and you and Octavia, weirdly enough, you're kind of in the background, but you're more relevant this time. Whereas the season 1 you weren't. What do you credit that to? Do you credit that to your performance? I mean, the fans.
I mean, first off, our fans are incredible.
Sure.
This is my first sci-fi, and this is my first experience of sci-fi fans, and they have to be the most knowledgeable, passionate fans out there, more than romantic, comedy, anything. They're so passionate, and they know their stuff.
They do.
Once they like a character, that they're prepared to stick with them through thick and thin. And so when the fans kind of attach themselves to a character, obviously it's very hard for the producers and writers to not write for you. And so it's a massive big love to everyone out there who's followed.
Your fans are crazy.
I love my
interact.
fans. Like
They
literally
interact with us.
on Twitter, on Instagram. We interact. I try and get through as many as I can.
You do. That's why you're here.
But it literally takes as long as I could be there all day. Literally,
Sure.
that's my head in my phone, just trying to get back to everyone. But I do read absolutely every single tweet,
That's awesome.
every Instagram message, and I appreciate all the love. They're the reason why we do it.
Right.
It's one thing going out there and doing a job, but to feel their love and their passion for it, whether it's good storylines or bad storylines,
Right.
they're really into it.
It's pretty rewarding, I'm sure. So CW has really come a long way.
Yeah.
It's this year, actually, they just received their first 2 Golden Globe nominations. I'm sure you know.
Yep.
And
Gina
Gina Rodriguez
was incredible.
She won the
Massive
Golden Globe
congratulations to
for
her.
Jane the Virgin.
Yep.
So are you pretty pumped up for what's to come? And just the ratings are higher, the quality's higher.
I mean,
it's more
we're
adult.
the youngest network out there.
Right.
So we're it's only been a couple of years, and so we're growing, and we're trying to get rid of the stigma of young love triangles and things that the CW is kind of known for. And no disrespect, because I grew up on the shows that they first came out with.
Right.
With your Dawson's Creeks and your Gossip Girls.
Right.
The OCs, all those things. I love those shows. I grew up on them all, and they're the reason why I came to America, because I loved the writing and it was fantastic. But the CW is taking a different direction now under Mark Pedowitz, and he's a massive fan of our show and the darkness that it brings.
Gotcha.
He's challenged Jason Rothenberg, our producer, to take it even further, which is kind of something you don't challenge Jason to do, because he's got an incredible creative mind, and as you've seen from season 1 and 2, he really likes to
He's been very gracious with his
go out there.
his interaction as well. It's been really nice.
He's an incredible person. He's a great leader, and I can only say about him that for someone who's so incredibly talented and creative and hardworking, him and our writing team are just hard at it, for months and months on end, just trying to figure things out. He still has time to, email and call us all and tell us about, the scenes that he's seen that day in the dailies, or, storylines, or, and he'll email you and say, great job, you brought a tear to my eye, or you had me really pumped, or I saw the stunt you did, or did this, and I saw that.
He's a rah-rah coach. He gets you hyped up.
He's a man manager, he doesn't forget the little things, and it's just those little touches that, to show the greatness of the man, and he is a fantastic boss to work for, and, we feel very privileged.
So he's giving you a great role here. So you start in Dream Team, you end up in Hollyoaks doing the British soap thing for a long time, and then you make it over to the U.S. And I read somewhere that your ideal role is that you want to be the first Black James Bond. I heard this.
That was someone else's idea. Someone else said,
you should
maybe you should be the first Black James Bond, and it's always touted out there, about, myself. I believe Idris Elba's been
he's rumored,
put out there and stuff, and it's always, this and that, and it's an honor to be even in that kind of list. But for me, I'm very big on keeping that consistency, and for me, James Bond is he's a character that's, he's a white guy, he's dark hair. I think it was controversial that they used a blonde-haired guy in Daniel Craig. It's like, Superman will not be black. He shouldn't be black. And Shaft should not be white. There's certain characters. I mean, Lincoln could have been anything. Lincoln could have been from any country in the world.
Right.
But I think certain characters like James Bond, I believe, whose characters are timeless, so they don't necessarily have to be modern day stories. So if they did go back in time and did something involving like the Nazis, and James Bond, played by Ricky Whittle, is undercover in a lineup of 300 soldiers who are all blonde and blue-eyed, and then there's me stood there, and the leader's like, there's a spy among us, and I'm just like,
I think you could pull it off.
Busted. I mean, they can write stories for you, and for Idris or for whoever takes up the role.
Stephen Bishop was in here a couple of weeks ago, and he said the same thing. That's what he wanted. It was in his interview, I think the same room maybe.
Really?
Yeah, he said, I want to be this. So I thought that was pretty funny watching that.
For me, I want to be a superhero.
That's one of our fans'
I want to be
questions
in Marvel.
today.
I want to be in Marvel, DC, you know, there's talks about the Green Lantern or Luke Cage.
Who would you play? Somebody tweeted me and said, ask Ricky on air who was like, what superhero would he play? So I was going to ask you.
I'm obsessed with superheroes. I'm like you're a comic geek. I grew up on comics as well. You know, I was a massive.
That's tough. I know, it's really hard.
There's too many to even think of from I mean the shows and characters that everyone knows now through like the Avengers and things. You know, I was a huge Wolverine fan. I loved Spider-Man.
The 90s stuff's great.
All that stuff. You know, Batman was incredible. I love the the reboots that are going on right now. But
it's hard right now.
I mean, Superman was always my favorite.
Yeah, so you would. So you said you'd play him if they offered it. If they offered you to be Superman.
No, I couldn't.
Oh, you wouldn't do it.
No, out of respect. I love this. I love it that much.
Yeah.
I couldn't. Because like in the Man of Steel when he kills the guy, I was furious
at the
end of that. No, because Superman's one thing is that he doesn't kill.
That movie to me was like I literally got like sugar kill of killing. I was like there's so much happening, so much action. I was burnt out by the end of it.
The thing about Superman was like, and the old films, Christopher Reeve, who killed it, is Superman used to go out of his way to prevent destruction.
Yeah.
So he'd stop fighting someone to stop a train from to stop a building from falling, to stop a train from crashing, to fix things. You know, this Superman just destroyed a whole city.
250,000 people easily dead.
Just done.
No question.
Done.
Yeah.
And like, where'd you go from there? Like, he's just like, he just killed like a superhero, a superhero villain.
Yeah.
What's Lex Luthor gonna do now? Really, Lex Luthor's just a man.
He's short-sighted for sure.
It's just a man, and you know, so if he can take out a superhero villain, you know, a super villain like that, then what is a mortal man gonna do against him? You know, and I just felt that, you know, the old school Superman who kind of looked out for the human race
in the American way.
Exactly.
Just never-ending battle.
Whereas now it's, you know, he's trashing. He's more like what's his name, Hancock.
Yeah,
you know,
sure.
You know, Will Smith's Hancock,
right,
just like smashing the place up. You know, it's probably cost that city a fortune. Metropolis is broke now because they have to rebuild what Superman destroyed.
So the old not Man of Steel, but the last one, Superman Returns, where it was
Brandon Routh.
So okay, I was actually going to say this. It's pretty much unheard of that a guy who starts as a prominent model and soap star transitions totally seamlessly into network television. Like, there's a couple examples from maybe a decade ago, like Josh Duhamel or like maybe Eva Longoria, but you know, Ralph was one of the guys that tried to do it. Why do you think it's been so easy for you to do it? You literally, like, I don't hear a single comment. I don't read an article that says like, oh, this guy who's a soap star and now so people are like, oh, he's legit. This guy's just a legit actor.
Because it was in a different country.
You think so? the culture gap protects you?
No, I mean, it's very hard to kind of, you know, break away from where you are, but you've also got to remember, never forget where you came from. You know, soap, as cheesy as it may seem, or the stigma that's attached to it may be, it's a huge education.
Sure.
There is nothing that my character in Hollyoaks, Calvin Valentine, did, you know, that he hasn't done. Nothing he hasn't done.
You were a cop, right?
He was a cop that turned bad. He turned into a drug dealer. He killed people. He became a club owner. He got married twice. He was having an affair with his wife's sister, his wife's cousin. He did everything. He died. There was literally, that show prepared me for anything in the future. So that when Jason Rothenberg says, okay, I want Lincoln to become a drug addict, blah, 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 I've done those storylines.
Sure.
You know, it really is a great education, and it allows you to, because of the huge turnover, you got to learn lines fast.
Yeah.
So when amendments come in on the 100, you know, it's not always plain sailing. You know, sometimes you'll be in a scene, or just, you know, the morning of a scene.
Yeah.
They'll throw you a whole new scene, or new lines, or new pages, and you have to learn it,
everything,
you know, straight away. Because of my education in soap and that quick, you know, learning curve that I had to go through, that's not a problem for me. Whereas some people who maybe haven't had the soap training and that turnover would panic.
It's a good skill to have. On the flip side, talking about your experience in the UK, you've been quoted as saying that you think that the perception and roles offered in the UK are more diverse overall, and they don't pigeonhole you as much. Why do you think that is? I mean, why do you think they're sort of ahead of us? Have you seen it change since you moved here?
No, I mean, that was taken out of context.
Okay.
That was something that the press kind of just ran with and just ran with.
It's a tasty bit.
That's controversial. It's no. Both America and the UK have very diverse, you know, roles out there. You've got, you know, many black actors, Asians playing doctors, playing lawyers. You've got there's not so much stereotype. I mean, especially on like the 100, it's so multicultural on the 100.
Well, it's driven by women. It's amazing.
You have strong female characters. You have men with flaws. You have females with flaws. You know, it's not, you're not judged by the color of your skin or the nation that you're from. It's all about, each character has layers. Even from keeping it simple, our good characters aren't necessarily all good. They make bad decisions, they make bad choices, they do evil things. Not necessarily evil, but things that are seen as bad. And our evil characters that per se are just kind of working off perspective. They're trying to help their people.
Sure.
So from season 1, the Grounders were the enemy, but then we kind of learned through fantastic writing and perception that the Arcas burnt down the Grounders village, and that's why they were so aggressive.
Yeah, it's pretty heavy stuff that we see. I think we have time for just like 1 or 2 more here.
No worries.
So let's see if we can cover one last one here. The last movie that you did was Austin Land back in 2013. Pretty zany film.
Yeah, I mean it was fantastic and great fun. It was Jerusha Hess who produced Napoleon Dynamite, the comedy cult film, and then Stephanie Meyer who did Twilight. Right. So those two minds came together, romance and comedy, to come up with Austin Land, which is literally, the exact kind of film that you would expect from those two, fantastic creators. It was from a book from Shannon Hale, who was another fantastic woman. So 3 female producers who came up with a fantastic comedy concept. So
film or TV, and then also beyond that, what's next for you movie-wise?
We're looking into that now. Thankfully, we've been picked up by the CW for our 3rd season, which is fantastic. Can't wait. So we've now got 4 or 5 months off now to try and squeeze something in. It's always tough to fit feature films or other shows into those spaces. Last year I was very fortunate. I was able to fit Mistresses in on ABC.
As well on ABC.
I was able to do 10 or 13 episodes, so I was basically a regular on 2 shows.
Two shows
Monday and Wednesday, 2 completely different characters, which was a great opportunity for me to kind of showcase what I'm about. So we'll see. I think my team are looking into a few feature films right now, so hopefully we can squeeze that in, and then back to Vancouver for season 3.
Season 3. Last thought real quick. Who is your ideal actor or director to work with?
Oh.
Just give me one.
Clint Eastwood.
Okay, that's awesome. That's great. Yeah. Could put you with a rifle and some war stuff. And
I literally said, just because I literally just saw American Sniper.
It was really good. Really
wow.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm writing about it right now. I'm trying to think like what's my take. I have to figure out what to say about it. So anyway, I think we're gonna wrap this up. But thank you so much for coming by.
Appreciate it.
I wanted to be sure to check out Ricky on Twitter and Instagram. I know you're at Mr. Ricky Whittle.
I'm at Mr. Ricky Whittle on Twitter because someone took Ricky Whittle. Really? So it's at Mr. Ricky Whittle. And then on Instagram, it's just Ricky Whittle.
Cool. And you guys can find me at Ben Bateman Media on Instagram, Twitter. If I eventually get Snapchat, it's probably going to be the same thing. Who steals Ben Bateman Media? But thanks for coming by, man. We'll see you next time.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
Yeah.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Afterbuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the Afterbuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterbuzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of Afterbuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.